Hey, incredible parents. Okay, Rayleigh here, and today we're diving into one of the most surprising and powerful tools you have in your parenting toolbox, play. Yes, play. Now, before you think, Rayleigh, I've got dishes to do, work to finish, and the last thing I feel like doing is playing. Stick with me because I'm going to share something that will change how you see discipline and connection with your kids, and it comes straight from the research of Dr. Gordon Neufeld, who is one of my absolute favorite experts in child development. So, when my kids were younger, I felt a huge relief when I learned that I didn't have to be the mom running around playing tag or dressing up like a superhero. That just wasn't me. I connected with my kids in other ways, talking in accents, like this, and telling stories. Um, yeah, and we have some epic Scottish and British accents in our family as a result. And turning transitions into little games when they were younger. And it just wasn't about what we did, but how we connected through it. And, guess what? You don't have to be the playmate for your kids to get the benefits of play. It's really about weaving playfulness into everyday moments, even the tough ones. And I'm just going to show you a little bit, in this chat, how to do that. So let's talk about why this works. So according to Dr. Gordon Neufeld, this is a game changer. So listen closely. Most of the time when kids misbehave or they're struggling, we're actually focusing on the wrong thing, right? We're looking at their behavior and thinking, how do I fix this? What consequence or reward can I use to get them to act the way I want? But Neufeld says that misbehavior is often rooted in five deeper issues that discipline just doesn't touch. So these five. Let me break it down. The first one, they are behaving this way, mama and papa, because they're immature, right? So immaturity. Kids aren't born with the ability to manage their impulses or emotions, and it takes time and maturity, and no amount of punishment is going to speed that up. So, yeah, they're acting immature. It's a given. Number two, there's a lack of secure relationship, perhaps. So kids need to feel deeply connected and secure with their caregivers if they're going to follow your lead, if they're going to talk, go with what you're asking. And if that trust isn't there, they're going to resist. It's what Neufeld calls counter will. That is that instinctive pushback when they feel like you're coercing or they're just not connected to you. So many parents talk to me about, I went in and I told her I was firm, I was warm, I was calm, what the instruction or direction is to take, and they're just no, I don't want to, or they're ignoring me, or they're stalling, or whatever it is. Human beings, we need to be connected first. So getting their eyes, getting a warm smile, getting them to nod because what you're saying they agree with. Oh, wow, that was so fun yesterday when you got to see your bestie, after school. That was so awesome. Yeah, it was. It was so great. I was so excited to see her. They're connecting with you, and then you can be like, all right, well, we're getting ready, it's bath time, so let's go ahead and wrap this up and I'll help you put these toys away and you can get into the bath. So it's a connection, right? Instead of thinking I need to make this this person do something, it's treating them like a fellow human being, and they're in the middle of something. And so we're really helping them with like this idea that we're going to take on the next step. Um, okay, so lack of secure relationships. So connect before you direct, so you don't engage the counter will. The third root of why kids misbehave, that according to Neufeld, is strong emotional impulses. So we're feeling beings, all of us, we feel before we think. So if you ever notice emotions seem to run the show for kids. The younger you are, the more immature you are, the more those feelings actually direct your thinking, your actions. And discipline doesn't actually help with those emotions. It often makes them feel make them stronger. If I feel coerced or I feel really put upon or I feel like you're trying to make me do something, I'm getting actually more activated. So we need to help them. We have to release those feelings safely. And of course, that would be a whole other workshop, friends, on emotions. But knowing that we validate emotions, hey, I know this is super disappointing about the play date that didn't work out today. And so I just, I know that that's disappointing. And yeah, we'll get through it and we're going to shift gears now. And they might have to release some emotion about that. That's okay. Um, we don't always feel great, and we're not always happy to just be like, yes, mother, yes, father, in what comes next. The fourth reason kids are misbehaving out here is that Neufeld says they have a weak alarm system. So some kids aren't instinctively cautious when they need to be. An alarm system meaning like they have that intuitive feeling like I need to be cautious, or like this isn't something I need to I should just jump right into. So they lack that uh-oh feeling that would stop them from risky behavior, and discipline won't help with that either. But play and connection will. So, yeah. So, inability to process futility is the fifth reason. Futility, yes, inability to process futility, meaning like many kids don't know how to feel their sadness or disappointment when they don't get their way. Um, they they are kind of impulsively maybe jumping to anger, or you know hitting, or going into attack mode before just kind of sitting with that disappointment. Like, we want them to feel their feeling. It's okay to take a moment to feel sad or disappointed, and they need to feel that this isn't something we can change, right? This play date didn't happen, so we're not gonna there's nothing we can do to change it. The first thing humans want to do when we hit a wall is we want to figure out, how do I change this? How do I make what I want happen? And when we just can't change it, this play date really isn't going to happen, to really just be sad for a minute, to feel those feelings of futility and the emotions that allows a human being, once we feel the feeling of sadness and disappointment, and be like, "Oh, I'm so bummed out. I'm really disappointed." And maybe there's some tears, or maybe there's just this like glumness, right? Like, I just need to be in a bad mood for a little minute. When we get to feel those feelings, we adapt, actually. We can adapt, and we can figure out how to self soothe, and we move on. Discipline doesn't make that happen. So you can't just be like, quit it and let's move on. Like, feeling feelings is part of the whole gig of growing up and having an adaptive brain, and learning that there are some things we can't change, and it's okay to feel sad for a minute, um, and just feel those feelings without going into attack mode or blaming someone. Yeah, so those are the five things that Neufeld shares with us about these roots of why kids misbehave. Um, so where does play fit into all of this? Well, it turns out play is the perfect antidote to these root problems. Very interesting. So play is how kids process emotions. If they've had a really stressful morning at the doctor's office, they might come back, and um, there was a story, I think it was a Neufeld story, and he was sharing how these siblings had this very stressful experience at the doctor's office, but they didn't reenact or play out what happened to them with the doctor. They were playing out what was happening in the reception room, because it was very stressful. There was a lot of families, a lot of kids being seen, and it was just really funny how they they weren't playing out what was happening in the doctor's office. They were playing out the whole reception area and like having to help all these people. Excuse me. Anyway, so play is how kids process emotions. It builds resilience, and most importantly, it creates connection. So it's that connection. Connection is the key to unlocking better behavior and less stress for you. This little human being isn't just someone to push around and make them do things. It's like we gotta move in there. We gotta be in their world a little bit if they're playing. See what they're up to. Oh wow, you used 5 of the red blocks and 2 blue blocks to create this mansion. Observation. We're not saying whether that's good, bad. Sorry, my cough is still here. Um, but it's we're entering their world first. That's how we connect, get their eyes, get their smiles, get them nodding, and then we can move them into our world. So we're going to be getting in the car. So I'm going to help you get your shoes on, and then we're going to get to school. And then we're moving into, so it goes from their world, my world, our world. Um, So let's take a typical power struggle. Your child is refusing to clean up their toys instead of jumping to a consequence or a reward system of some kind. If you don't clean up, you're not going to be able to have, I don't know, what are y'all threatening out there? You can't uh, have your story. If you don't clean up, we won't have time for your story, and that will be cut out. Um, but if we try to bring that in, bringing some play into it, let's turn the toys, for example, into characters. Oh no, if I have a little bear here. Oh no, Mr. Bear wants to go to bed, but his blanket is lost in the toy jungle. Suddenly you're on an adventure with your child instead of a battlefield. And guess what? The toys get cleaned up and your connection with your child is stronger for it. So it's just kind of being creative in the moment, using play. And there's this little toy hack that Dr. Cohen, he's a therapist who focuses on play therapy with kids, and he shares with parents, like, if you have that kind of reaction of like, oh gosh, I really don't, I'm too exhausted to do this, um, just think about like a 10-minute timer in your mind. You can really set a timer, but who has time for that? But thinking like, just I'm going to take the next 10 minutes, right? And I'm going to play with my child and connect with them in their world. There's no agenda, there's no chores. We're just going to play, and letting your child lead that play, and laughing and getting silly, making silly voices and silly faces, and just giving yourself 10 minutes to be in that playful world. And with older kids too, like you can talk to them about their world of play, like what they enjoy. If it's, Pokemon or whatever they're into right now, and just, yeah, it's not your thing, but it's theirs, and lean into it and talk to them about it and let them tell you about it. Because the bottom line is, when kids feel connected, they feel seen and they feel heard and they feel like, I want to cooperate with you. I feel like, you're my person. And as a result, they behave better. It's just the way it works. Now, let me be clear. Traditional discipline like timeout, rewards, punishment, these focus on an outcome, and it's very work based in that way, where we think, what can I do to get my child to behave? But kids don't function in that work mode. Their brains are wired for play. So trying to control their behavior through discipline without addressing these root causes that I've chatted about, like their immaturity and their emotional impulses, it won't lead to the change that you want, essentially. And you'll be reaching for those harsh types of fake power, really, all the time. And really feel like, oh, why don't my kids listen to me? Or why is everything so hard? So play shifts this focus from this outcome, like, I'm going to do this so that they'll do this, like this transactional way of being with the child. But play shifts it from that to connection. And it helps kids, they feel safe and seen and understood. And when they feel all that, they want to cooperate, right? They're not just resisting you. They're not just resisting you, they're joining you. I mean, that's the whole point, is that we're learning as parents what doesn't work over time and what does work. And this is really a great path forward for you. So quick note here. So playful, when I say being playful with kids and using funny accents and silly faces and getting into their world for a minute and joining them in play and having them kind of tell you like, oh, you be this or whatever for 10 minutes, not a lot of time, even sometimes it takes less. I don't mean being sarcastic or teasing in a way that can hurt their feelings. You know, children are very sensitive and they don't understand sarcasm. So you have to be very careful about sarcasm and joking and poking fun at them because these things actually disconnect you. So this isn't about that. This is about joining them in their world of imagination and curiosity. So if you have a culture in your home of a lot of teasing, there's actually a whole plan that Kim John Payne, another great therapist and author who I really love, he has something called the put down diet. So if you have a culture where you're using a lot of teasing, a lot of sarcasm, a lot of joking, that actually can be a very disconnecting culture for kids. It's not safe, essentially, for children, and so they don't. It doesn't build trust. So that would be something if you wanted to talk more about that and learn more about the put down diet. I would love to tell you more about it. Do a free coaching call on that if you want to. But here's my challenge for you, superhero parents. So the next time you find yourself in a power struggle or feeling stressed with the kids, they're not listening, pause, ask yourself, how could I bring play into this moment? Even if it's just a silly voice or a quick game of, beat the timer, like, okay, let's see how quickly we can get all of these blocks into the basket. Or, it's, okay, let's see how quickly we can get into the car this morning. Let's see if we can beat yesterday's time. Things that allow for a playful spirit. Give it a try, and let's be real. Play is your secret parenting superpower. That's what I'm revealing to you, and it connects you to your child. It relieves stress, and it works. That's what's most important. It works. So go ahead, sprinkle a little play into your day. Maybe let me know in the comments how it goes. I know that nobody's commenting um, very often, but I'd love to hear if this is helpful. You could at least like it if you've watched this far. So thanks so much, guys. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.